Hello. Implexus means entwined, interwoven, and enfolded. It creates waveforms which are harmonically rich, and then it filters them. It has two LFOs, it has two discrete envelopes, and it has a stereo digital delay, but with a very kind of analog feel to it. There's a separate vibrato LFO, glide, and a pitch envelope we can apply here. And around the back, we have some CV ins and CV outs, as well as USB MIDI, MIDI, headphones, and a stereo output. So it's West Coast in the sense that it has a complex oscillator network, and it's East Coast in the sense that it has a nice filter. Later in the video, I'll do a bunch of jams and I'll use the filter a great deal to kind of hybridize the sound. But there is so much you can do without even touching the filter. So let's try that first. The western part of the synth is the western part of the sound, and we have an oscillator called the complex generator and a second one called the basic generator that I can use to audiorate modulate things in the complex generator or blend the two together for two VCO sounds. And the mixer to do that is here. To make it make sound with nothing connected, I can hit drone and then I hear the synth. This is just the complex being very basic, and with the harmonics control in the center and folding completely off, you hear a sine wave, to the right a saw, and to the left a square. And the whole hook with Implexus is that we can then fold any of these three sounds or the blends thereof. We have a bias control. What that does is it pushes the folding to be asymmetric, and that asymmetry adds different tones. And here, with relatively high fold amount, it can create a very nice kind of PWM sound. Now, I am wobbling this by hand, but of course these controls, the harmonics and the folder, can be modulated. They can be modulated with the envelope, with LFOs, and at audio rates with the basic generator. And so how does that work? So here, if we focus on the folder kind of stack, if I turn up the LFO amount, then LFO2 here is going to control the folder amount for us. And if I turn up the folder amount, we get this kind of like filtered sound. It's almost like we're using a filter, right? Except we haven't even used the filter yet. We get this lovely kind of rhythmic thing because we're using LFO2 to control the folder amount. And if we were to modulate the harmonics amount with an LFO, well, we've got LFO1 as a dedicated control here to control the harmonics amount, which it does bidirectionally. So we have this really interesting thing where LFO2 is controlling the folder, LFO1 is controlling the harmonics. Oh yeah. if I put a little bit of this stereo delay on, and then down here with the routing, I'm able to choose which LFO I'm using to control the folder. This becomes a sort of performance effect, especially because the LFOs can be clocked. With these useful little buttons, I can tempo sync the LFOs to MIDI, external analog sync, or tap tempo. Same with the delay. So suddenly you get this kind of very rhythmic, sort of underworld resi kind of vibe where there's all kinds of wonderful tempo synced modulation occurring, affecting timbral things in the complex, the filter and what have you. By the way, because you've got CV outs and ins on the back, you can route the LFO to control the filter if you wish. Nice. Now there is also this option to audio rate modulate the complex generator in a few different ways. You have linear FM where the basic will affect the complex's pitch at audio rates. And you also have these OSC mod sections where the basic generator can affect the folding at audio rates and also the biasing control at audio rates. So let's play with that and we'll get even more freakish. So with the harmonics set to be a sine wave, we can turn up the OSC mod and we get nice kind of like sort of almost PWM-y things going on there. Obviously, dependent also on the pitch of the basic generator and the waveform that we select with these switches. We can then blend that with some LFO. So here we have a little bit of LFO modulation of the folder. And then if we add the OSC mod, audio rate, it adds this kind of raspy snarl to the tone. Then if we knock up the basic generator nice and high, what I could do is I could make LFO1 quite different to LFO2. And then perform Then let's add some bias. If I have a nice slow LFO, we get a nice PWM effect with the folder quite down low. See how I can perform the LFO by just like bopping from one rate to the next? By the way, if you push these buttons to turn them off, you get the ability to freely tune the LFO rate from slow to fast. So then if we increase the bias amount, and then increase the OSC mod, and that's the audio rate modulation of bias by the basic generator. Now with linear FM, here we have a way of modulating the pitch of the complex generator with the pitch of the basic. But if I turn up linear FM, which are all dependent on the pitch and waveform of the basic generator, yeah, lovely kind of scintillating sound. Which of course then if you change the harmonics, the bass waveform that this complex is making, and the folder, then that adds another layer of tonality. Get everything to like animate and come to life. Add hair by Audiorate Modulating the Folder. Yes. So let's play some more. Make some jams and sounds. Here's the Arturia Keystep Pro. Sequencing Implexus via CVM gate. Now this is this other thing, which is the mod envelope, which can also modulate the harmonics, positively and negatively, and the folder. And so you can have this combination of envelopes modulating the harmonics and folder, LFOs modulating the harmonics and folder, Audiorate basic generator modulating the folder, and the biasing. And to do so all at the same time by different degrees with tap tempo. It can be very pretty. There is a lot to explore. And so that delay, it's a digitally generated delay. Jasper said that there is some special source. Jasper, by the way, is the guy behind Majella. He says that there's a very slight, like, slippage between the two sides to create like a lovely stereo effect. The sides like woos a little bit in an analog fashion. You might be thinking, can you make traditional analog sounds on this? Yeah. Oh, flipping heck. So yeah, of course, like you've got the ability to unfold it, remove all of the weird modulation and FM between the two oscillators. You can make them harmonious, or you can offset their tuning, of course. Square wave and triangle, sorry, saw. But then of course you can get these kind of like freaky in-between things. So if I set that to LFO2, increase the amount that LFO2 is doing that with, and make it on a per step basis, or maybe. So now I switched it so that LFO2 is controlling the folder amount, turned it right up. And if we adjust the folder amount, we kind of find the sweet spot that we like. I can increase the rate of LFO2 with these just instant buttons. Ugh. Ugh. Really nice. It's skirting this kind of middle ground between weird and like traditional. Because you got this like odd like Westcoast modulation and folding. You tame it all through a filter and add a second more traditional oscillator, and it kind of sounds like a thing we sort of know but we don't know. Get sued. Sorry, Delia. Shoots my toots. Wow. Then we can add the basic generator to it. Oh yeah. I like that. Oh. So it seems to excel at this kind of halfway house between like trad and weird, like West Coast and East, indeed. You know, these like nice traditional, like clean and precise analog stuff. It has this kind of precision sound. And I don't mean that as a diss, it just actually does exactly what you tell it to do. With this kind of firm classiness to it, I would say. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, modulation envelope can loop. So it's like a third LFO. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's the thing. To which we can add some electro-y weird percussion. That's just the complex oscillator. Got a high bias here. Ooh, that's just the complex oscillator with lower bias. I think we want to sweep that slowly, don't we? Let's turn off the clocked nature of the LFO, make it right slow. And then LFO1 should sweep this for us. That's it. Oh. So weird. Sort of a weird fusion of like vintage and modern that. Mate. Yes. Yeah. So this is showing what you can do if you have a way of programming velocity, a stair-step voltage in this case. I'm using CV to do it, but if you have a MIDI sequencer, then this also responds to MIDI, and it will convert MIDI velocity to control the strength of that envelope. And that gives you a very simple programmable voltage that you can apply to things. Oh. Yeah. Yes, mate. A fun thing you can do is duophonic playing of Implexus, because you've got separate 1 volt per octave inputs for the complex and the basic generator. So therefore, if you have a 2-track sequencer, you can play them independently as a sort of make a counterpoint type thing. So if we start with some sort of simple bass line, and then add in our second sequence on sequencer track 2. Get a bit of that on. Oh, yes, mate. So that's a bit of LFO1 to control the folder. We've got like a natural kind of chorus, haven't we? If you want to call it that. Wicked. Bit of a bassline funk. That's just the sub-oscillator there, to which we can add the complex and the basic. And then add delay. Adding glide.